and placed upon its passage.
Motion is made and seconded that House Bill 11 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage. Clerk, please report.
House Bill 11, an act relating to nicotine products. Representative Raymer.
Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the lady from Butler for explanation of the bill and motion thereon.
Chair recognizes the lady from Butler for explanation of bill and a motion thereon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would you have the clerk please report House Committee Substitute 1?
Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 1 to House Bill 11.
Lady from Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This adds an effective date of 1/1/25. I'd move adoption of House Committee Substitute 1.
Motion made for the adoption of House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any discussion? Gentleman from Fayette 77, would you like to discuss the committee sub? Take that as a no. Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. House Committee Substitute 1 is adopted. Lady from Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 11 looks to address the vaping epidemic that we have in our state. I know myself, along with many of my colleagues in this room, have been contacted by their school officials about how rampant the vaping is in our schools. And while looking to do something about this issue, upon investigation, the products that they're confiscating out of the schools are actually mostly products that are not even authorized to be sold per the FDA. So what House Bill 11 will do is impose penalties for retailers selling to those under the age of 21 and penalties for selling those products that the FDA says is unauthorized. If there are no questions, I would move passage of House Bill 11 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1.
Motion made for the passage of House Bill 11 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any discussion? Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson 38.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield to a question?
She will yield.
Lady, in committee we heard several concerns from folks that sell these products around actually getting to the source of where a lot of our concerns around vapes getting in the hands of our minors really lies. And one of those points was that it falls to gas stations, and also the increased amounts of nicotine sold on the market. And there were some suggestions made that those changes be incorporated into the bill that's before us today. Can you speak to why those changes have not come in the form of a floor amendment today?
Lady from Butler.
I don't believe that we as a state need to be in the habit of defining what's illegal and legal for these products or making those regulations. Congress granted FDA the authority to regulate these products. That's our duly elected officials, and we're just following what the FDA says.
Lady from Jefferson.
Mr. Speaker, may I speak on the bill?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Members, I just really want to highlight some of the concerns with this bill, and I do not want to see us back in a year with a cleanup bill on this. This is something that we have time to get right. There's some simple changes that would really make this bill stronger, including if we can go after the gas stations for selling to minors. They are the #1 offenders of this problem. It's not the vape shops, as the data has shown. As relates to FDA approval, there was many applicants to applications submitted for approval, and the FDA was overwhelmed with granting those approvals. And thus, people paid a lot of money to get approvals. And so we heard from a lot of small business owners how the bill actually helps big tobacco instead of making an equal playing field for our small business owners. And I find that deeply concerning. So I would encourage you to vote no on House Bill 11 as it exists today. I, like all of us in this room, are deeply concerned. I know that we're deeply concerned about vapes in the hands of minors, and we need to combat this problem. But I'm concerned that with the way the bill stands today, we are just granting a monopoly to certain companies, and that's not something I'm about. So I'll be a no today.
Lady from Butler.
Yes, I just want to address one thing about the gas stations and the convenience stores being the offender, because we don't do licensure of these products. The ABC only has on their radar retailers that sell alcohol products along with nicotine products. So there is no listing of those other type of stores. So there has been no regulatory compliance checks on those unless they get enough complaints to go in. So my bill also will have every business, as they do their annual business licensure with the Secretary of State. Secretary of State will add fields to that licensure to ask if you sell nicotine products, so that we will have an accurate listing.
Chair recognizes the lady from Grant 61.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the lady yield to a question?
She will yield.
Lady, if we pass this legislation, how many e-cigarettes will be available for purchase in the Commonwealth of Kentucky?
Lady from Butler.
I can't give you an exact number, but I know it'll be the products that meet the FDA's definition of what they say can be on the market.
Lady from Grant.
Mr. Speaker, can I speak on the bill?
Yes, ma'am.
I have here pulled up in front of me the exact number of products that would be able to be sold here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky if we were to pass this legislation. This list provided by the FDA includes 23 products, but that doesn't mean that there are 23 e-cigarettes that can be sold according to this list. There are three modules. Now, every year there's usually a bill or two, maybe more, that we go home and we have constituents that come up to us and say, why in the world did you vote for that bill? Doesn't matter how you're registered, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. We've experienced this. This will be that bill where our constituents say, why did you vote in favor of banning this particular product for adults to use? Because, as we all know, it is every bit as illegal for minors to purchase this product as it is for them to purchase alcohol. Every bit of it is illegal. And this is being proposed as something that is designed to reduce harm in minor children, when in reality it will do no such thing. It will do no such thing. These products are already illegal. What it will do is harm Kentucky's businesses. That is exactly what it will do. And you can talk about the FDA-approved list. You can get into the merits of that particular bureaucracy. But what each one of us has to know is that when we press the yes button, we are voting to ban a product simply on the basis that we think we have the right to decide what types of products that Kentuckians should buy. And I want to ask, where does it end? Where does it end? Knowing that heart disease, for instance, is a leading killer across the nation and has been since 1950, are we going to start regulating salty foods, French fries? Type 2 diabetes is a real problem here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We all know it. We're going to outlaw sodas or pop, soft drinks, whatever you want to call them. Sugar? Where does it end? I don't believe it's the appropriate role of government for us to take on this nanny state facade and to ban products of this nature. So I encourage you all to vote no, and I think it's going to save you a lot of heartbreak if this actually passes out of the House and into the Senate when you go home, because folks are not going to be happy. Thank you.
Lady from Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to address a couple of things. Although I can't give you an accurate number of how many products would be legal to be sold, I can tell you that the lady's number is inaccurate. That is the FDA's authorized, completely approved list, products that have made it all the way through the process. My bill has clear definitions from the FDA's deeming rule, where if a product was on the market by a certain date, had submitted their PMTA by a certain date, they are allowed to be on the market. In other states that have passed similar legislation, I know Alabama has about 1,600 products on their registry of things that are still allowed to be sold. You know, I'm not a big government type of person, but the fact of the matter is we are not the regulatory authority over these products. The FDA is. That was granted through our duly elected officials through Congress. I'm sure there's pharmaceutical companies that would like to go ahead and have their products sold in Kentucky, even though they haven't gone through the FDA process. Are we going to start allowing those? I don't think the FDA has done a great job in going through this list, but that is what we have to work with, and this is how we get the products that are being geared towards these minors off the shelf, and products that have gone through no safety checks. We don't know what's in them. A lot of them are coming overseas from China. We have students dropping in classes because they vape these products, and we have no idea what the chemicals are inside of them. They're not just harmful for youth, they're harmful for all Kentucky consumers.
Question for the body is on passage of House Bill 11 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson 30.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Permission to speak on the bill.
Yes, sir.
This bill reminds me of a bill last year which the gentleman from Kenton suggested that we're facing a false choice. I think once again today we are facing a false choice, that either we do nothing and live in the Wild West where any product can be sold at any retailer, or we create a monopoly where big tobacco and big retailers benefit alone. Personally, I wish that we could regulate these products for potency and purity, enforce stricter penalties for sales to minors, and tax the products more effectively so we could use that money towards tobacco cessation treatment. I've heard from many people on this issue. I've gotten over 4,000 emails and phone calls, and over 90% of them asked me to vote against the bill. Many of them were small business owners. And of those small business owners, most of them were first-generation immigrants trying to live the American dream. So I ask that we vote no on this, and we come back together next year and address the real problems. Flavoring and marketing that target our kids. Have stricter controls and enforcement for those who sell to minors, and regulate both the potency and the purity of these products, rather than us ceding control to the FDA, who has done nothing effective about this. I, too, want to protect our kids, and that's why I'm going to vote no today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Clerk, sound the chimes. Now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by voting yea on a roll call machine. Those opposed, nay, and a roll call machine is open for your voting. Have all members voted? Would any member like to change or explain their vote? Have all members voted? Clerk will take the roll. There being 62 members voting yea, 26 members voting nay. House Bill 11, as amended by House Committee Substitute 1, is passed. Lady from Butler.
Move the clincher.
Without objection, clincher is applied. Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, that House Bill 612 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for a third time, by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage.
Motion made and seconded that House Bill 612 be taken from its place in the orders of the day.